have to say how proud I am of everyone here that's hung in. Gotcha, Christian. Everyone in this class is going to pass. That's coming. That's still coming to class. Yeah? I think it's close. There's maybe one or two of you that are on a bubble. But I think we'll make it. All right. Last time, I believe we were working on workbook. Is this true? Going over your last workbook assignment?
Trying to remember which part we were on.
Say that again?
Trying to remember which part we were on.
Yeah.
You took a screenshot.
Did I take a screenshot so we didn't have to start all over on something? Let's see what I got. Yeah, this was that weird one. All right, let's find our workbook. Sharing my screen with you. We were on this Corelli Concerto Grosso. And we were learning what a Concerto Grosso is. What is a Concerto Grosso?
A smaller, like instead of having a single soloist with the orchestra, you have a small group.
Yeah. So we have two groups, the Concerto Grosso and the Concertino. And we written all these Roman numerals out last time. I don't know that I checked the right box to share my audio. Let me do this again. Oh, come on.
Exercise 15-1 F.
All right, so what did we hear?
Exercise 15-1 F.
Clearly, you all heard a what? What's that passage have?
Cadential 6/4.
Good. What else does it have in the beginning?
A circle of fifths progression.
There we go. That was Skylar, huh? Good job. All right. Circle of fifths. Do you hear it? The first 8 chords are circle of fifths progression.
Exercise 15-1 F.
with me now? All right, let's finish. Let's finish analyzing here. What's my next chord? I got a B flat, a G, a B flat, a D. We are in the key of F major.
2.
2. Okay. C, C, G, C, C, G, C.
Five.
5. Back to our one chord, yeah? D, B flat, B flat, D, B flat, D, B flat. Good job, kids. That's a 4. Yeah? CEGs, is our 5. We go back to 1. I don't think it's a cadential 6/4 though, Pete. Because it's just 1 in root position. They put the 4/3 there because of this F. Where did it go? Oh, wow. This is different than the key. Well, I guess they did the realization. There's a 4/3 suspension with this F going to this E. And then we end on 1. All right. Remind me what I decided to make you do and not do. Do we remember this? I can look it up.
We're not doing page 125. 126, we're not doing 127.
All right. Let me.
130 and 131. I'm not sure about 132.
Unfortunately, they didn't put
Only
their.
G of
Say again.
130.
Say again, Kevin. What did you say,
Don't worry about
Kevin? I can't hear you.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, 129. Are we doing 129? We are.
That's what we're just doing.
Yeah. Okay. $130, we're only doing G. And 131, we're only doing the top line. Okay, so we're doing G and I. We've got to finish up F here. All right, I'm with you. Okay, so what they want you to do here is to realize your figured bass. And so if it were me, I don't want to do this whole realization with you. But if it were me, I would certainly put in the circle of fifths chord progression.
How dare they give us no times integers?
I know. Another finale error. Maybe they'll take my class this summer and get better at it. Can only hope. I would put the bass line in, yeah, because that's not going to change at all. Like, right? That's easy. Then we're going to do the same thing with the melody. No, we're not. Hold on. Let me listen to it one more time.
Exercise 15-1, F.
All right. I'm going to give you a little hint as to what they did. So they put their bass line in just like we were talking, yeah? Then they went, and they kind of give you a little hint here. They're just going to follow that repeated note suspension the whole way through the circle of fifths. Does that make sense to everyone? So that's as much as the freebies that I'm going to give you for letter F. Cool? Okay, going on. Can I clear my screen? I don't want to spend forever on the workbook because I'd rather start reviewing. Next up, we've got G, and then I, line 1. Okay, so here they give us a figured bass that we have to realize. Everyone's fine with the Roman numeral 1 there. Roman numeral 1 at the end. Gonna go 5/7 at the end. Knock out those freebies, yeah? All right, if we have an E and we have a 6, what does that mean? Come on, this should be like this.
It's a 5 chord.
It's a 5 chord. 6 means we have a third below our bottom note for our root. A third below E, C. C in the key of F is 5. All right, good. Back to 1, yeah? All right, now we have a D and a 7. In the key of F, D is
6.
6. G is
2.
2. 5. Little circle of fifths progression there. B flat.
4.
4. Now this one's tricky, and I don't know why. I guess it's just the way the book did it. Oh no. What is this going to require? It's going to require one of two things, yeah? If we build a 7th chord on B flat, what are our notes? B flat, D, F, true story. And then A is our 7th. So that's going to require an A flat if we choose to do so, or it's going to require a major 7 symbol if we just leave it with how our key signature is. Are you with me? Okay. All right, I have a B flat and a 6, so my root is
G.
G, and so that makes it a 2, yeah? All right, I've got a B flat and a 4, 2. What does that mean?
Third inversion, the C's in the bass.
Good. So it's a 5, 4, 2. I've got an A and a 6, so that means F's going to be my root. G's my root. 2, 5, 7, 1. Okay, does everybody see how we did that? Now you just need to go and score it. Keep this bass only thing going on in the bass clef, and 3 parts going on in the treble clef. Okay? Questions on that one? All right, we're skipping H. We're looking at I, first line only. The following is a simple note against note contrapuntal framework. Analyze the implied harmonies and then elaborate it into a passage containing several 7th chords. Use 4 parts or a free keyboard texture. Your final version might be complex, but the original framework should be retained. Include Roman numerals and NCT analysis. All right, what key are we in?
It's like E flat.
Yeah.
You said, I think for this one, like top line only. So,
Right, meaning don't do this.
but that's the space work for the free for all embellished version. So are you just doing chords here, I guess?
Yeah, just analyze it.
I see.
Let's just analyze it. Okay, so we're in E flat. Let me play it. Why can I not hear? Oh, well, that would be. All right. One more time. Can I change my mind? I just want you to fill it in. I don't want you to worry about the NCTs, but I want you to fill in the 4 part, yeah? So 1 chord here, yeah. 5 chord. Going to 1 chord to the end, yeah. I've got a C and a G. Where did I go? What's a possible realization answer if I've got a C and a G?
Is 6.
6, good. An F and an F. Can 6 go to 2? Yes, it can. I'm going to put a 2 there. Is that all right? Where does 2 like to go? 5.
5, 7.
And it's got to be a 7 here. A 7th chord. No, it doesn't. Just kidding. I lied. Where does 5 go?
1.
It does go to 1. It also can go to 6, which lines up with my C there. A flat and C. Four.
4.
Yep. And 6 can go to 4. I've got a G and a B flat.
3.
3.
But then
Yeah, but
that's
4 doesn't go to 3. What else can I do with a
2.
G?
those.
What else can I do with a G and a B flat? Can't go to 5 because the G doesn't belong in the 5 chord.
Oh, 1, 6.
1, 6, yeah. Good. This is when that chart that you got tattooed is really coming in helpful on page 105 from chapter 7. All right, I've got an A flat and an A flat. Can 1 go to 4? 1 can go wherever it wants. I've got a B flat and a G.
One, 6.
Is it a 1, 6? My 1, 6 here had a G in the bottom.
1, 6, 4.
Good, it's the cadential, isn't it? Good work. All right, then I just want you to throw in the other 2 voices. Okay, and that completes your semester workbook assignments. Hoorah. Questions, comments, concerns, friends with questions. Seeing none, hearing none. All right, let's start reviewing, shall we? Let's take a stroll down memory lane. Oh, didn't want that. I want this. All right, what did we start with? What chapter? You remember way back when the semester started? We started in chapter 9. Back in the day. We still weren't sure who our president was going to be. All right. Chapter 9. Triads and second inversion. What do we need to remember? Okay, so first inversion triads were used as bass arpeggiations and substitutions, and that's kind of true of the second inversion chord here, yeah? But second inversion triads are not used as substitutes for root position. It's an unstable chord, yeah? Bass arpeggiation. I don't know what I'm sharing with you and what I'm not. Let me try again. I am sharing sound. Here we go. We listen to this Mendelssohn.
Example 9-2.
So that's a good example that kind of sums up how we use it, right? The 6/4 chord, outlining the triad. Yeah? Then they said we could also use them as melodic bass, like this bass.
Example 9-3.
Remember that? I remember that. Then we talked about the cadential 6/4 chord, how it doesn't really count. It doesn't really have its own soul. It only counts as a 5 chord. You remember this? We bracket it. Like that. Example 9/4. That's how it's bracketed. It does not represent the tonic triad. Here's one in the middle of Scarlatti.
Example 9-5.
That was actually a chain of 3 of them. Right? So we listened to a bunch of those. All right, we talked about the passing 6/4 chord. Usually falls on a weak beat. Some theorists don't like to label them, but whatever. The 3 blind mice chords. You remember this?
Example 9-9.
Ooh, that was the twofer. Not only did you have the passing, but you got the cadential as well. Here it is in the Jupiter.
Example 9-10.
because of schedule availability, the Modesto Symphony Orchestra couldn't play it for us, and we had to hear it reduced on the piano. Stop me when you have a question. I'm just going to cruise. All right. Pedal 6/4. That's when everything else moves, but the bass does not. Yeah. Similar to a pedal point. Here it is in Mozart.
Example 9, 12.
And there he beautifully executed it with the violas, because you know you don't want to give them too many notes. So we just stayed on that C forever. All right. We heard Don't Cry For Me, Argentina. We learned what slash chords are, even though they fully don't know what slash chords are because they don't implement them very well in this text. Are we recalling all this? All right, let's go through the checkpoint. You never know, one of these questions just might show up on the exam. 2 ways in which 6/4 chords are produced is through bass arpeggiation and by a melodic bass. Name the 3 other kinds of 6/4 chords discussed in this chapter.
Passing.
Passing.
Cadential.
Cadential.
Pedal point.
Pedal. Good. The cadential 6/4 chords precedes what root position triad?
The 5.
Good.
Root 5.
Yep. What 2 triads are most often used as passing 6/4 chords? Oh, we kind of glossed over that. The 5/6/4 and the 1/6/4 is the correct answer. Although any triad may be used as a passing 6/4 chord, those in example 9/8 are the most common and found in both major and minor modes, 5/6/4 and 1/6/4. The pedal 6/4 usually involves one of 2 progressions. What are they? We glossed through that too. It's right here. 1/4/6/4/1 or 5/1/6/4/5 are those 2 progressions. And then they give you an example that does exactly not that. Cool. Now it's chapter 9. They say to double the bass in a 5 chord. We did this self-test and did a bunch of analysis. We filled in inner parts. We realized figured bass. And you're all pro stars at all of that, right? Here's our summary. We just said all that. Questions on chapter 9? Seeing none, hearing none, moving on to chapter 10. Chapter 10 was a very, very fun chapter. We all enjoyed it thoroughly, especially Catherine. And we learned about cadences, phrases, periods, and sentences. Do you remember this ambiguous chapter?
And we thought chapter 2 was bad.
Mm-hmm. 2 and 10, the highlights of this book so far. All right. Cadences. What is a cadence? It's a harmonic goal. A harmonic goal, specifically the chords used at the goal. What kind of cadences do you know?
Authentic.
Authentic. What's an authentic cadence?
5-1 with the one having the root in the bass and the soprano.
That's a perfect authentic cadence. Yeah? An authentic cadence is just 5-1. A perfect authentic cadence is when the soprano gets the keynote, the do. Good? What else? What other kind of cadence can you give me?
Half cadence.
Half cadence. What's a half cadence?
5 to 6. Oh, no. No, it ends on 5. I'm sorry. It ends on 5.
Yeah. What did you just give me?
Deceptive cadence.
Good. Deceptive cadence, 5 to 6. Half cadence is something to 5. Good.
Plagal.
Plagal. What's plagal?
4-1.
4-1. Also called the, sometimes,
Amen cadence.
the amen cadence. Good. You all are missing the IAC.
5-1, but
Scale degree 3.
1 and 5 are inverted, right?
Scale degree 3 or 5 is in the melody over the tonic triad. So it's an authentic cadence. Just it's an imperfect authentic cadence, an IAC. Good. You can also have a leading tone IAC, yeah, 7-1. And you can have an inverted IAC, 5-7-1, 5 or 5-7-1, but with either or both of the chords inverted.
I remember there was a Phrygian cadence, but I can't remember what it was.
Example
We'll find out in a
10
second.
3.
Dr. B,
Yeah.
with the inverted IAC, how can the 5 or 5-7 be inverted if it's a 5-7?
Say that again.
It's okay. I think it.
Well, it's just not in root position, right? You see how this is a 5-4-3 going to 1 rather than a 5-7 going to 1? Are you with me?
On the IAX, can the 1 also be inverted? Or is it just the 5? Can be...
It's either or both.
Okay.
Catherine, are you still confused? Okay. All right, Pete mentioned a Phrygian. We got to find it. This is a Phrygian half cadence. This happens when we have a minor 4-6 going to major 5 in a minor key. Not talking about Phrygian mode. Something completely different, right?
Example 10-7.
Okay, so it sounds like a half cadence, right? Our goal is that of the 5. So there's your Phrygian half cadence. It goes 4/6 to 5 half cadence in minor. Are we all right with that? Plagal cadence we talked about. There's your chart that I shared with you all on Instagram. Yeah, you should be following. All kinds of great info out there. And here's another chart, which I also shared on Instagram with all the answers. This matchy quiz. Do you remember it? Can you do it? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Is that what you got? Questions, comments, concerns, friends with questions. Motives. Smallest identifiable music idea. Pitch or rhythm or both. We talked about phrases versus subphrases. A phrase has to be punctuated by a cadence. But a subphrase does not. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. And then we listened to all these examples, and then it got to be really confusing. Do you remember? Do you remember this part? And they picked like all these examples that were ambiguous and shady, and it could be seen one way or the other. Is it white with black stripes or black with white stripes? Zebras were running around everywhere, and we didn't know what was going on. Cadences are recurring. We had to try to figure out what is going on.
Example 10-11.
Yeah. We definitely heard all our cadences in there, didn't we? Just about. Deceptive cadence, IAC, half cadence, deceptive cadence, perfect authentic cadence, IAC, half cadence, IAC, deceptive cadence, pack. We talked about a lot of times these are very symmetrical things, yeah? 4 measure phrases, 8 measure phrases, etc., etc. Questions? All right. Then we talked about the period. A period typically consists of 2 phrases in an antecedent consequent question answer relationship. The stronger cadence is at the end of the second phrase. These are the 2 most commonly encountered patterns of a period. Phrase 1, half cadence. Phrase 2, pack or IAC. Phrase 1, IAC. Phrase 2, pack. One of those 2 is usually what we have when we have a period. They cannot be the same cadence. If they are, it is not a period but a repeated phrase. Are we okay so far with that? You're making a face at me. Okay, so period has to have a couple things. Period has to have 2 phrases. If it doesn't have 2 phrases, it's not a period. A period also has to have 2 cadences. A weaker one at the beginning and a stronger one at the end. They cannot be the same type of cadence. If they are the same type of cadence, it is not a period, but a repeated phrase. The 2 most commonly found periods are in this diagram that I'm circling on your screen. Half cadence going to pack or IAC, or IAC going to pack. Half cadence going to perfect authentic cadence or imperfect authentic cadence. Or an imperfect authentic cadence going to a perfect authentic cadence. Are you with me? That's what makes up a period. As if that were not confusing enough, they then introduced the parallel period. The parallel period has both phrases that begin with similar or identical material, even if that material is embellished. And I think that we went to Canada at this point. And Canada came up with like the perfect example, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me find it. That is a history book. Running over my cord. Okay, let's see, where were we? Cadences. Yeah. Musical periods. C, Unit 14. All I can remember is Ode to Joy. Do you remember Ode to Joy? Is Ode to Joy a parallel period? I think I might be one level too deep. Oh, where was it? No, I can't remember. Gotta go back and watch my videos. Does anybody remember this part? Phrase models 161. Okay, parallel. We're talking about the parallel period, right? Parallel period, the antecedent and the consequence use the same material, AA or AA prime. So there's my A. And there's my A prime. So they both started with the same beginning. But the first one went and it ended on a half cadence. And the second one ended on an authentic cadence. But they're parallel because they begin with identical material. Ode to Joy, same thing. Yes? Questions on a parallel period? Hearing none, seeing none? curious. What does this one say? Okay, there's the diagram for the parallel period. So half cadence, perfect authentic cadence, yeah? Questions on that?
It's the parallel double period where it starts getting a little sketchy.
Yeah. A period in which the phrase beginnings are not similar is called a contrasting period. Here's one.
Example 10:14.
I cannot find that nice section where they broke it down so beautifully in Canadian books. I'm probably off by a level or two, but okay. 3-phrase period. Two antecedents and a consequent. It's going to be determined by your cadences, yes? Two antecedents because the first two antecedent cadences happen with half cadences. Questions on that? Double period. 4 phrases. 2 parts, 2 pairs. Cadence at the end of the second pair being stronger than the cadence at the first pair. Similar to a period, but each half consists here of a pair of phrases instead of one phrase. Also notice that the first 2 phrases will probably not form a period according to our original definition, so a double period does not usually consist of 2 periods. Finally, notice that a repeated period is not the same as a double period because a double period requires contrasting cadences and a repeated period does not. Are we okay with that? Are we confused?
So it's not 2 periods. It's more like
Right.
2 phrases that make an antecedent.
Yep, we still have the antecedent consequent relationship. We have a double period because
4 phrases instead of 2.
yeah. Right. A double period does not usually consist of 2 periods.
So what kind of cadence would go in between like the first phrase and like the antecedent and the consequent? Like just an IAC or?
Yeah, well, if you put an IAC here, you definitely can't put the IAC there. You got to go to the pack.
Yeah.
Right. Double periods are called parallel or contrasting according to whether the melodic material that begins the two halves of the double period is similar. So they give us this Beethoven example, right?
Example 10:16.
Same material.
It's not too hard if everything's a half cadence.
Right.
The three phrases are half cadences, but I think it'd be more difficult if it was an IAC or something.
Yeah.
On phrase 2.
Mm-hmm. So, again, not necessarily, the first part's not necessarily a period as we've defined it. And that's the confusing part to me, I think. They didn't label this one A prime because it was essentially the same. It's a little bit more decorated with like a grace note here and there, or instead of an eighth, a dotted 16th, 32nd. But all right, then they give us this term phrase group. Often several phrases will seem to belong together structurally while clearly not constituting a period or double period. It's just getting vaguer and vaguer. Typically when the final cadence is not the strongest one. This is especially common in transitional passages that connect more significant thematic ideas. The term phrase group is used for such situations. Before assigning this term, however, study the music, especially the cadences, closely to see whether a passage might be analyzed as a variant of some period form. So it's just going to get more and more unclear. The sentence. Do you remember the sentence? We were calling the sentence X and X prime. Typically, the sentence is, although not always, a single phrase in length. So we get X, which, what are they calling X? Thematic material, is that what they're calling it? They're calling it an idea. We have an idea and the idea variant. So here's a Mozart example that's a sentence. You get your idea, line 1, its variant, line 2, and its cadence finally at the end.
Example 10:17.
Finally a half cadence. So there was a lot of fluff in there, wasn't there?
So the sentence doesn't have a cadence.
It does at the very end. Yes, it does.
Okay, but I mean the first two, X and X prime, don't have
Correct.
cadences. Okay.
Correct. The idea and the idea variant does not have a cadence.
Example 10:17.
We couldn't die and then we couldn't end there and die happy. We couldn't end there and die happy either. Okay, we could kind of pause there and die happy, but not totally because it wasn't an authentic cadence. We at least made it to the half cadence. The comma, not the period, right? Here's another one.
Example 10:18.
Okay, questions on that? This one's much clearer to me because it doesn't even seem to get close to cadencing. It takes off with a new variant before we even get there. But some of these variants are quite long, 2 measures. And in the next example, they're quite short.
Example 10:19.
All right. So are we all right with sentences? They give us 3 clues when you're looking at and analyzing music. Look for the location of repetitions, exact or varied, of the initial measures. If a repetition occurs somewhere in the middle of the passage, a parallel period or some kind of repeated form is a likely possibility. If it occurs immediately after the initial measures, a sentence or a sentence nested inside a larger period is possible. Note also that repetitions in parallel periods are typically exact or very similar, whereas repetitions in sentences may be exact or quite varied. Clue 2, look for the location and number of very strong cadences. That's what I would do first. Unambiguous PACs, HCs, or root position IACs. Periods tend to feature at least two of these, 4 or more in the case of some double periods, right? But sentences often only contain 1 at or near the end. Which just seems like common sense to me, not really a clue, but okay. Number 3, look at the order and pattern of the cadences. If the cadence pattern repeats itself, such as half cadence, perfect authentic cadence, half cadence, perfect authentic cadence, a repeated period or sentence is likely. If there's a single strong cadence, a sentence is likely. If there are many strong cadences, a double period is possible. We would want to look for repetition of the initial measures to find the beginning of the consequent phrase. I would add to that, look in symmetrical chunks. 4 measure phrases, 8 measure phrases. It's often very symmetrical. All right. Then we took a self-test. And there's your summary for 10. 11, we started doing two-part counterpoint. 1-to-1. Do you remember this? Man, we've gone through so much stuff this semester.
Actually, I still had a question about 10,
Okay, go ahead.
meaning that, and the question is, what kind of, like, how will we be quizzed on all this? Because given its ambiguity.
You'll be given a musical example, and we'll go over this next time. And you'll have to match it with the correct diagram.
Okay.
So I'll give you like 4 different diagrams, and it'll be multiple choice, multiple guess, as I like to call it. And you have to find which one matches with the actual piece of music that I've given you. So you definitely have to be able to look at, okay, how long is my phrase? Where's my cadence? Did my cadences happen where the diagram says it does? Oh, that one's out. Oh, yep, it's this one. It's just process of elimination. Given 4 diagrams for a piece of music, you have to find the one that works. Yeah. I was kind of nice to myself and said, let's make this all multiple choice. Rather than making you guys diagram this piece of music, because I didn't want to grade all those. Right? All right, chapter 11. We were doing the 1-to-1 counterpoint. They talked about that being called like first species. When we were doing this at first, we had a bunch of training wheels on. We were kept to short 4-measure phrases usually. The rhythm is pretty simple. The key, everything had to be in the same key, using melodic minor when possible. Ending and beginning on tonic and dominant harmonies. We had to stay in root position. We had to have a decent range, but not a crazy range. We wanted to have one focal point. Certain chords stayed in certain chords stayed in root position. The first and last chords. The 5 and a 5-to-1. The 6 and a 5-to-6 had to stay in root position. Then there were certain chords that had to be used in first inversion, the diminished triads. And then either one of the 5 or the 1, but not both, in an internal 5-to-1 progression. Do you remember that? And then we were trying to improve the bass contour by not having repeated bass notes in a row. Focal point, large leaps were to be avoided. And have tonal variety. Change of direction when the leap occurs. Before the leap and after the leap if possible. The 2 dissonant intervals that were allowed were the diminished 4th and the diminished 5th. And then we had a change of direction usually after for sure, and usually before. Melodic minor, if we could, when we were in minor. Okay, then we introduced the cadential 6/4 chord. That one was okay, but no other second inversion chords were happening. So I think you're going to get a baseline. We'll go over this Wednesday. And you have to talk about what the problems are going down this chart. Something like this. All right, what's the problem with this line? Well, it jumps a lot. This one has redundant pitches. We have 3 of the same pitches in the same 4 measures. 3 in a row, especially across the bar line, not good. So these are all the errors, right? So maybe we pick up here next time. I'm worried that we won't be able to get a nice review over everything, but we can do our best, yeah? Questions, comments, concerns? I'll see you tomorrow in ear training.
Thanks, Dr. B.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
You're welcome.